Nothing beats subscribing to the BYO podcast. Survive depression. And your toxic co-worker.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls,
welcome to the greatest podcast on the planet.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yolana eti po.
And they tipping me off. I know you from the inside out. We do some real talking at my mama's house. We finna get something for $1. We might just head home in a Honda. But are you ready? I am ready. Don't keep me waiting. I'm okay. I'm just minutes away. You can come any day. You can come and we play. But are you ready? I am ready. Don't keep me waiting.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to a special edition of the BYO podcast in Mgcini 99. And today we are joined by Honorable Gift Ostallos Siziba. Welcome to the show, my brother.
Wow, thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
How are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you keeping?
I'm okay. I'm okay. So, like, just to give people context, when I'm doing my intros, I don't read this person does this, but I feel like with you today I have to read because I don't want I don't want to make any mistakes.
No.
So, Ostallos Siziba is a Zimbabwean politician, activist, and an outspoken voice of the youth and social justice, former member of parliament, and former deputy spokesperson for the Citizens Coalition for Change, and a long-time advocate for democracy and accountability. That's you, my brother.
I think it sounds like someone else.
That's you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate.
Abako Siziba bavela ngaphi?
So Abako Siziba initially bavela history yethu kahle kahle nxa besitsho bathi thina sasuka koNongoma.
Okay.
Yeah, nxa besitsho I'm yet to trace it, but when I went to a program siyabona ihlobo zethu kwaNongoma, that's when they assume ukuthi savela khona ngale and journeyed to come to this part of the country. Abanye bangapha eduze la kubonkayi ngapha.
Okay.
Abanye bakithi ngapha njengathi sazalele eChabalala.
Yeah.
You know, sise town.
Zoma city.
You know, so yeah, abanye bakugwayi. My grandmother kusesikhwabeni. I think I once went there ansangumntwana. You know, and uyabona nxa ukhulele elokishini.
Yeah.
Ebubona ngani ikhaya, it's not a good thing. But nxa uguga ukhula like now, you then realize ukuthi you actually want to go ekhaya.
Yeah, you want to trace your...
Yeah, but nxa ukhula ubona ngani isayine ukhawula.
Yeah, it's not cool.
So yeah, but now as we grow, we intend to invest much. You know, a town so super.
Yeah, we're stressed. Yeah. So like, how often did you go to the rural areas when you were a kid?
I think I had my uncle. I had an uncle called Malum Nicholas. I think it was from Nicholas. He's based in KZN. You know.
Yeah.
So that's the last time I remember Kwagusina. So I was still young. Should be maybe around 99, 2000. I think you go in I think. But we'd go there on my holiday. But since then I went to boarding school, Form 1. I never went back that side. ngoba my other extended family now yayisingapha kubo Victory, I think. Kwakulaba eAsha, that Asha area.
Okay.
Thereabout.
So,
So ikisasesitshona khona. So
yeah.
yeah, that has been the journey.
so born and raised in Chabalala.
Precisely.
How is it growing up in a family setup where the father is a religious person, is a reverend? Do you feel the pressure of living the perfect life? Because we know when you're a Christian or you're of a Christian background, there is a certain level of behavior that's expected from you.
I think that I grew up in Chabalala. My father, as a pastor of the AFM, it's the only church I've known in my whole life.
Yep.
I've never been to another church. I'll never be in another church.
Yeah.
That's the church that will bury me. Growing up, my church is an Orthodox Christian institution that subscribed to the old-time, religious principles and values. Obviously, growing up, I used to play soccer. Ngezikhathi zabo Real Stars at the time, sasibaleka siye kunjanje. But it would clash with our church service or Sunday school, as it were.
Oh.
So when you're growing up, but as you grow up, I realized that those Christian values have been very critical for me. That's why to this very day I hold Sunday and church time as a very sacrosanct day. So I continue to go to the church fundamentally because those values that were instilled to me were very critical and important for me. And the fact that, the way we were brought up, I was also brought up when I was in university by the Marxist socialist values. And one of the most popular positions and persuasion by Karl Marx is that religion is the opium of the oppressed.
Yes.
What made me very comfortable as a socialist then and as someone who's also from the church is that in my church setup, when I grew up and up to this very day, there are no contradictions. I don't feel any fake.
Yeah.
Asila nto ezisenza ukuthi sibona ngani there is manipulation.
Yeah.
As I see it in the modern day,
Yeah, because now the chat is I feel like people are now just going back to their way of religion in form of the tradition, spirituality, and you would find there is now clash between what we call African spirituality and Christianity. Ama Krestu, balokwabo, African spirituality, but were colonized. The same religion was used to colonize the black person.
Yeah, I think for me is that I think the clashes are man-made. I'm a revolutionary myself, and our revolution in its execution appreciates that we are also spiritual beings. We've got a soul, and that's why there is no clash between my political persuasions and my religious belief system, because in fact, the first political office is established by God himself by anointing, by Samuel anointing Saul as the first king, and dethroned again with God playing a role in that, So for me, I find navigating that terrain easier and without finding conflict, and I respect people's freedom of religion and freedom of conscience and how they interpret it. I do so for my own self. I don't impose them on other people. They don't interfere with my professional and political life. Because those are private views and principles and beliefs, and as long as they're not held to manipulate another human being, that's why the Constitution provides for that freedom, so that people believe what they believe in, as long as they feel that it helps them, and as long as it makes their journey on earth, worthwhile.
Yeah, I feel like at the end of the day, it's an individual decision. It's not a group work.
Yeah.
But before the politics, before the rallies, before the parliament, who is Ostallos in primary school?
I went to Mahlavezulu Primary School in Chabalala, from grade 1 to grade 7. So my life there was a very simple life in the ghetto,
Yeah.
struggling with other young people, and just trying to plan for our future. I tried many things. I tried sports. I tried different things to try and see where I'm located. So at that time, it was difficult to tell where my future was heading.
Yeah.
I wouldn't lie that when I was in primary, I would imagine to be where I am today. That was not how I saw myself. I was just an ordinary person, young person, and just wanting to live a better life. Of course, I was worried and ashamed about the life that we're leading. And that, I think, shaped my views around the fight against oppression. Because I could feel that we're oppressed because there are some people who are living a better life than us.
Yeah.
And at the time, I thought that maybe my parents did not work enough.
Yeah.
My father was working in National Foods, so, and my mother was a domestic worker. My father also even come from the rural areas as a garden boy, and then starting in National Foods to be the ones about Twalimpupu Veloda, and then long back, I think companies would educate their people, until he then became someone in that company after working for 32 years. So I began to understand the struggle of the working people at a tender age, because I would have wanted my parents to drop me in primary school with a car, ubona abanye abantwana, I mean, sasibona abanye abantwana belama TV. We didn't have a TV, back then I think there were was it a VCR or something, which we didn't have that.
Yeah.
So you would sneak in neighbor's house
To go and watch
so it's
WWE.
dehumanizing, it's stripping your dignity.
Yeah.
So I understood struggles, and I thought that it was my parents' fault at the time, but I think they were doing their best.
I remember you mentioning that at some point you were ashamed of just telling other peers what your parents were doing back then, because it didn't seem like an ideal job for a parent. Abanye mabesithi, my mother is a doctor, my father is an accountant. You'd be there just standing, or sometimes reaching a point where you'd even want to lie.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a common thing when you are growing up in a difficult setup. You would not want to say that, my mother is working for some people in my yardin, or we are Tsvangirai, it's not an easy thing. You would have to find another way to, try and escape that question fundamentally, and you're a kid, you don't choose where to be born.
Yeah, you don't choose.
But also when you grow up, you then realize that those things at times are designed to help you. If we had not lived poverty, it would have been difficult to do the job that we do now, because we got to understand from those struggles why we want our people to live a better life. It was difficult, but when you're looking at it in hindsight, you then realize it's a training ground. Revolutionaries are never born in comfortable circumstances.
Yeah.
Check your Che Guevara, check your Thomas Sankara, check your Karl Marx, check your Martin Luther, check your Obama in the present political jurisdiction. Check your Nelson Mandela, your Thabo Mbekis of this world. Revolutionaries, even in biblical terms, your Moses and other revolutionaries in the Bible, you realize that you are deployed there by the heavens to be prepared for a national responsibility, because these tasks are tasks that require someone have experience.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that if you grow up in comfortable circumstances and then be told to go and fight on behalf of the people living uncomfortably, you would not do it.
Sometimes
You know.
you don't even know what's really happening on the ground.
Yeah, you know, so you have to. I don't subscribe to people living such a life. I wouldn't wish it for anyone,
Yeah.
including my own children. But at times, those who are called for duty ought to experience so that they can be able to speak about things that they know and things that they understand. And the fact that they should not betray the people. It must be about the understanding that you know what the people are going through.
So when you're growing up, I feel like this is now high school time. What did success look like to you?
I mean, to be honest, success to me was going to Johannesburg and coming back driving a Quantum, wearing an Ulster Converse. My success was to wear a black Ulster Converse on the right and a white Ulster Converse on the left to show that you have two pairs of those shoes, you know, and wearing an overall written pick it up, you know, or Chuck Taylor and John Foster.
Yeah.
You know, that is what success looked like for me growing up, you know, and driving BMW.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up next to Gilbert Banda, who was a Highlanders football player. And so those were the people that you would see saying, if I reach here, I think I'll be better. You know, that is what success for us looked like. It was just wanting that decent life, nothing more, nothing less. When I went to Glock High School in Matabele North, from Form 1 to Form 6, and that's what we wanted. I never thought I would further my education and all. I thought I would just finish my O level, go to Joburg like everyone else, you know, and just start my life.
Yeah, I feel like back then going to South Africa was just like the end goal for so many people. And when we were thinking of buying BMWs back then, we didn't even picture potholes.
Precisely. I mean, you would never imagine that our country will be like this.
Yeah.
This day, but thanks to our friends,
Well, yeah,
this
now.
is where we are. Yeah.
So back then, I know for a fact that with the previous president, you were not allowed to even mention their name on public. Just like there was this fear of you don't talk about politics back then. I'm not sure about now, but how do you then get the courage to get into politics, knowing very well that the country that we're living in, even just mentioning the name of the president in public, you are in deep trouble?
Look, when I went to university at the University of Zimbabwe, I joined the Students' Union. But more importantly, I became a member of the International Socialist Organization, ISO. What ISO does, led by Comrade Gwisai, to whom we owe so much our political orientation and consciousness. We were grounded in very solid Marxist-Leninist ideological standpoint. Because the first thing that a revolutionary ought to understand is consciousness. So we were prepared for more than 4 years, being prepared to speak on behalf of the oppressed people, to question power, and to understand the struggles that we are in. We were connected to the fact that our struggles at the university for more bonds, more soup, academic freedom are directly connected to the national question. And that Robert Mugabe, then being the president, is fundamentally and primarily responsible for the challenges that we were facing. But also we're made to understand that we have to speak on behalf of our brothers and sisters who have not made it to college, you know, because we've been given this privilege to learn and understand and connect the dots about the politics in the country. So that's why when I was elected to lead the Students' Union at the University of Zimbabwe at SRC level, I was very vocal about the politics in the country, but more clearly by mentioning Robert Mugabe as the primary cause of the problems. It obviously got me in trouble,
Yep.
but it became the signature political identity
Yeah.
that every address that I would make students understand that Mugabe is responsible for the crisis in the country. Because a revolutionary ought to be free first before they seek to free others. So you have to be free mentally, psychologically, and politically. So political ideology and consciousness grounds you. Otherwise, if you are scared at that level, you can't do anything.
You can't do anything.
So we would call Robert Mugabe the same way we call Emerson, because we're a liberated people in our hearts and minds. And nothing can happen to suppress those kind of persuasions. We call this the spade in the politics of our country. But I can attest to the fact that so much is done in any society world over. Consciousness is important. Mugabe used to send this mystery that CIOs are everywhere. If you talk about Mugabe in a combi, you'll be like,
I remember them Choveni, man. You couldn't even mention.
So we were liberated to be made to understand that CIOs are people like us, and we must speak truth to power. So the moment we're freed from that, because it took more than 40 years of investment in that fear. We call it harvest of fear in political science terms, to pacify people. But it's difficult with people like ourselves because we're prepared and liberated mentally. And that's why we stand in those positions up to this very day.
Seeing how things were happening back then and what's happening now, do you think there's freedom of speech in Zimbabwe?
I think that freedom of speech is there on the basis that it is provided for by the Constitution. The Constitution provides freedom of speech, and it is the most important document of the land that must guide everything. What we don't have in our country is freedom after speech. You can say what you want to say, but it's about what will happen after. That matters to a lot of people, and that is why we do what we do, to guarantee people not freedom of speech, but to guarantee ordinary citizens freedom after speech. You can't be criminalized for holding an opinion. For me, I believe that what makes us different from animals is language.
Yep.
The ability to communicate me and you. What makes me and you different from a dog.
Yes.
It is the ability to speak. So when someone robs you of that, they are robbing you from what makes you human. And that's why some of us don't want that to be taken away from us. And that's why we don't allow anyone to do it. Because once you strip me of that right and liberty to speak, you are denying me the very essence of what makes me human. You want me to live like an animal, because an animal can't speak.
Yeah.
So that is the right that we fight for, the freedom to be able to be secure after you speak your mind.
Yeah.
The liberation struggle was fundamentally about that. Because Smith did not allow black people to express themselves. What made Joshua Nkomo and Nikita Mangena and Josiah Magamba Tongogara and Hebe Chitepo to go to the bush was fundamentally two sacrosanct rights. The freedom of black people to assemble and speak, and the freedom for them to own their land. Those were two things that were central on the agenda of the liberation struggle. That's why some of us will not allow anyone to take that away from us, because it was already sacrificed for. If you are to kill us, you must kill us maybe for economic freedom.
Yeah.
Not for political freedom. Because there are people whose life was already sacrificed
For that.
So you must enjoy that as a journalist, to be able to ask questions without you being scared of where you're going to sleep, and without you having to put more barricades in your doors and stuff like that.
Yeah, because for some time as a podcast, we've shied away from talking about politics, because there's this myth that if you mention anything that's happening or that has to do with politics, you're going to get into trouble. But I think for some time, what we've tried to maintain is just giving our opinions on what's already there on the public.
It's understandable. I mean, as you journey in this world as a journalist, because the struggles that are faced by the teachers, by vendors, are the same struggles that you would face. Because we all live in one country. The same struggle that is faced by people that support our party and those that support the ruling party. The struggles are the same. When you go to a hospital and there's no medicine, you start to realize that, look, there is a political problem in the country. When you go to Mpilo, there, you realize that there is a political problem in the country. And someone once said that, someone said, I would not get into speak about politics when they arrested a teacher, because they said, I'm not a teacher, but the teacher had said, I will not get in because they'd arrested an activist. But when the activist died, there was no one to speak on behalf of the teacher. When the teacher dies, you say, I'll not get in because I'm a journalist.
I'm not a teacher.
I'm not a teacher.
But
But the teacher will be gone. By the time they come for you, you realize there'll be no one to speak for you. So these things about what our people want and what some of us want, it's just living a dignified life.
Yep.
I don't think that many people will be in politics and this also fake, surgeons of religious things in the country if the economy was better. If they were not turning industries into these churches, I don't think that our people will be doing that. People ought to go to church to connect with the deity, to connect with God, and that's it. The state must be able to provide clean water, provide electricity, provide decent salaries for the working people, because the state is the arbiter between us as ordinary people and capital. That's why some of us ideologically talk about the state-led development, because the state must be able to produce a conducive environment for business to thrive and for people to live better. But when the state forfeits its obligation, citizens who are giving the state power ought to speak out. And when those issues are addressed, people will continue with their life. My brother, I can tell you without doubt that most people don't want to be wearing that scarf. I can tell you for certain.
Yeah.
People don't want to be working with those green and red and black stickers you see of a political party. People don't want that. People don't want to join that institution. I can tell you for a fact, because we meet these people. Most of them, 80% of those people, don't want to be part of that cult. But they join it because they think that is a safer haven. I talk to business people. They just want a conducive environment for them to work. But they know that, look, in a very difficult environment, some of them want to evade tax. So they'll think that if I join this and do a slogan, because we have, that is the challenge of our country. In modern societies, if you go to Sweden, I was in Sweden, people, actually, they are looking for people to go to parliament. People don't want that. People have no interest in the politics.
Because everything
Some
is
people
running
don't know who is in government.
Everything is running smoothly.
They might know maybe the prime minister, but they don't know who's there and who are the ministers. Because everything exists outside the state. The state produces a conducive environment and everyone lives their life. That's what we want.
Yeah.
You don't have to be aligned to any political institution for you to live a better life, But our country, because it's a sad reality, politics leads everything. That's why we're in election mode every year.
Even when the elections have passed.
There are no elections now, but look at the interest in the political processes in the country.
Yeah.
Everyone now is, what's happening in Mtari? What's happening to this?
Hey.
Who's doing this? Citizens mustn't care about the political affairs of political parties.
Zimbabwe's economy has been recovering on paper for some time now. But you would find so many people that are still hustling, so many people that are doing what they are not qualified for. They went to universities, did degrees, but yet you would find someone is doing something else as a form of a hustle. Who do you think is benefiting in this form of recovering economy and still to be believed that we have one of the strongest currencies?
Look, I'm not an economist, but I'm a political scientist. But because I'm interested in the economic affairs of the country, I do my research. And what is clear about the crisis of the economy, it is the politics, stupid. That is the genesis of the crisis. An economy functions on the basis of confidence, what in philosophy we call a social contract. It is the relationship between those who govern and those that are being governed. That is the starting point. That those who are managing the affairs of the state, those are managing the economy, they must be trusted by the citizens. So it's confidence. So that is the most immediate thing that you need to have a strong currency. So citizens must have confidence on the person signing the banknotes. And in the case of Zimbabwe, the answer is clear. People don't have trust. That's why people would rather put their money in mattresses and pillows rather than in the banks. So the formal economy will not have money circulating because people are keeping money at home because they don't trust the formal banking system. And therefore, the economy is the casualty because we don't have our own currency. With hyperinflation, there is no trust. People know what happened in the past. So we have to fix the politics first. Secondly, it's an ideological question. We have to be properly aligned as a country because an ideology gives the country a philosophy. What is the governing philosophy? The governing philosophy will guide us to say, how do we balance between the rich and the poor? If our philosophy is saying we want to create a welfare state, an egalitarian society, a state where everyone lives better, then it will guide how our policies are crafted to balance between those with wealth and those without wealth. So the state has to become that arbiter to say how much salaries do we give to workers. So that issue of a minimum wage comes from the state to govern someone who's employing you, to say this is how much you have to pay. So if an entrepreneur, the government creates a conducive environment for you to make money, but it then regulates, one, how much you have to pay people who are working for you. Secondly, how much tax you have to pay. But thirdly, how much that tax is going to be spent. So where in our country the problem is an ideological question. Because we don't want to balance the gap between the rich and the poor, we take the money from taxpayers and go and spend it where it is not necessary. Whereas we're supposed to be spending our money in hospitals, building roads, providing water, we'll be spending our money in useless things. I don't want to mention them, but we spend our money in useless things as a country. So because of that, our priorities now, you see our people are dying, unemployment is skyrocketing, and inequality gap is spreading. Zimbabwe is one of the highly unequal societies in the world. That's why you see someone is driving a Lamborghini. In the same road to their house with an air condition, there's no electricity, there's no water. There's a security guard who's guarding those houses who has to sleep in the same area and decide not to go home because they are saving transport money. So they spend the day sleeping in the park to go back and for their evening duty in the same neighborhood. So it shows you the inequality in the country. Look at the number of expensive cars in the country. And then look at the levels of poverty in the country. In fact, we are dependent on UN agencies to feed our people. Because we have extreme poverty at more than 51%. We have school-going children who need intervention in terms of getting food. Because they will not eat at home. They will only go back at home at 2 p.m. Primary school children. So they need intervention to get porridge or something in their school. More than 50% of those school-going children who need food for them to survive malnutrition. So now, because Trump has closed USAID, which was covering that gap, we are now dependent on UNDP and other small agencies who are doing that work. So that's the inequality in the country. But someone is dishing out a car for 300,000 to celebrities and so forth, buying Lamborghinis. In a normal country, in South Africa, the works would have gone to audit lifestyle of those people. But in our country, there's impunity. You know, we lose $1.2 billion annually on illicit outflow of gold alone, my brother. You get the point?
Yeah.
That's on gold alone. So we are not
Yeah.
talking about diamond. We're not
Yep.
talking about lithium.
Yep.
We're not talking about chrome. We are just looking at, this is government-produced statistics. You get the point? That's how much we're losing. 1.2 billion would build hospitals, would build chemotherapy systems, would build cancer machines into the country. Because that's on gold alone. We've not spoken about other mineral resources in the country. Well, we've not spoken about leakages at border controls and so forth. So when the state is solid about what it wants to do, like Thomas Sankara was in Burkina Faso, our people are living a better life, my brother. We don't say that we know that government people want to live in luxury. You get the point? They want perks, they want so forth. You can still get the perks because what is being stolen in the country does not belong even to them. So it's the Chinese taking that, it's the investors, whether they're from Europe, wherever they're coming from, all the people who come in here and put their money, because they know that it's a highly informal country, you can come in, loot and go. So it does not benefit anyone, including those in ZANU-PF. It's benefiting someone who's bring their money, they suffer when they go out. You get so if we protect our resources, you see, they will continue to live their life and go with their girls to Singapore, wherever they want to go for. It's fine. But we will still be living a better life and we will not care, my brother. You get the point? But the issues are, but look at the levels of poverty. Look at the levels of the challenges in the country.
Do you think the informalities that are happening within the economy, social well-being of the country are deliberate?
It's not that it's deliberate. What has been deliberate is the destruction of the country. That has led to informalization. Informalization is born out of the fact that we are not producing. So we're a net import country. We're importing toothpicks. We can monitor here. Very few things in your studio here are made in Zimbabwe.
Yep.
You would discover that these stones, these ones, you discover that they were imported from South Africa. This glass was likely imported from China. This thing might have been imported from China, but we've got Kotko in Gokwe there. We were one of the highest producers of cotton in the region. But if farmers produce, their paid is zig, then they have no capacity to reproduce next time. All these lies, the mics here, I have no doubt in my mind that they're not made in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
So we are a net import country. So if we're not producing, it means you won't employ. So industries are going to shut down. Industries are shutting down fundamentally for microeconomic instability and macroeconomic instability. The deindustrialization in the country comes from poor policies that are inconsistent. Monetary policy inconsistencies in the country. We have no money of our own because we want Zimbabwe to have our own currency, Zimbabwean dollar. We are patriotic Zimbabwean. But economics is no slogans. You get the point? For you to have your own money, you need to produce one. You need to have gold reserves. You get the point? You need to have confidence. Those are three fundamental issues to have your own currency. We have none. You get the point? We're importing toothpicks. So we have to start producing. To produce, we have to have a conducive environment for capital to come into the country. Both domestic capital and international capital to come into the country. The state must regulate now who comes into the country, how much gets to the state, and how does it benefit ordinary people within the locality. Close down leakages, have an environment where someone will say this is competitive. Support our own local industries, SMEs to grow, and entrepreneurship, grow the service sector, because we've got an intelligentsia in the country. Let's harvest the intellectual property that we have. In that way, we are killing informality and slowly formalizing. Tax and revenue will come into the state. The state will equally distribute that wealth, and everyone is happy.
What's your take on people that are leaving the country, and do you think it's something that you would advise someone to do, seeing what's currently happening in the country? There is so much talent that's leaving solely because there is no fair remuneration for the work that the people are putting in. What's your take on people leaving the country, and would you advise if someone got the opportunity to leave Zimbabwe?
Look, to be fair, on one hand, I think that Zimbabweans, as ordinary people in particular, and as the oppressed, because my message is always predominant to people in my class, the oppressed, the poor, those without privilege. I was given an opportunity to go and study out of the country. My conviction is that that privilege is only given to me, and what about thousands of people that voted for me who don't have that privilege? And that's why I've stayed in the country, but that's a personal choice.
Yep.
I don't think that those that leave the country should be condemned, in my respectful view. But also, it must not be encouraged, because we can't subcontract our future in the hands of other people. We have to define our own future. It's a difficult journey. It's not easy, my brother. I can share with you this. It's not an easy journey, but we have to fight. All countries that you see that were developed by their own people who challenged the status quo. You know, there's no Rome that can be built by foreigners and neighbors.
Yeah.
And there's no Rome that can also be built in one day. We have to know that as a people. But those that would get to leave the country in search of greener pastures, understandably so, ought to understand that they must remain patriotic citizens and continue to contribute to the conversations in the country, support their families. I mean, people in the diaspora have been keeping this country stable in terms of its economy. Go and check Mthuli Ncube's mid-term review. You later that statement confirms what I'm saying. The diaspora remittances in this country are huge. Billions of dollars annually are coming from the diaspora. So they've saved us. So they ought to be celebrated. You know, they are facing, I've spoken to people in the diaspora, no one wants to be there. In the UK, you face the harsh racist realities of London. You know, in South Africa, you face the xenophobic, lazy leaders of Dudula who don't understand that these borders were artificial, created by the enemy in the Berlin Conference. They don't know that before these borders were one people, that our struggle as Africans and as the oppressors of the world are the same. But the lazy, ideologically vacuous leaders of Dudula don't understand that, you know, and thanks to the criminal element within that space that encourage such lazy thinking. We are Africans, we are black people. Our struggles are the same, you know. So we have to understand that those in the diaspora ought to support their families back home and support the struggles of those fighting back home and also amass the necessary skills intellectually in the industry so that at some point we have to build our country. We've got people who are top in Google, people who are top in Amazon, you know, captains of industry across the world, you know. So those people ought to know that at some point they have to come and help us build our country. When all this is past, the politics and the toxic, exhausted nationalist rhetoric, when it's gone, we have a country to build. So some of us, while we fight in the trenches, we are preparing for that because we are going to govern this country. You know, it's a difficult journey. It's almost like a dark period we are in. But we have to prepare to build this country. And we're going to rebuild this country. And the diaspora and citizens of our country who are there are going to be crucial in helping us build this beautiful land called Zimbabwe.
So many young people in this country. I feel like part of the message of us inviting you to our platform included that so many youth have lost faith on politics. The youth are now saying we are no longer voting because there is no change. There is quite a number of people whom I think have the same thinking. Do you think the youth have influence in this country, and what's your take on someone who is saying, I've voted so many times? I mean, we've been waking up. Sometimes, some of these elections, you wake up 6 a.m., you're really motivated, you're saying, today I'm going to vote. But it feels like it's a deja vu.
Look, I would ask the same young person and say, would you participate in a revolution? And my answer, I will not wait for it because I know it. I know their answer. Their answer for me is in two things. One, the most recent events. There's a code for these young people. A few weeks ago, they didn't show up. A few days ago, he did so. They continued business as usual. So they gave me the answer. So I would not ask them. They gave me the answer that they don't want an alternative route to an election. That's one. Number two, when we formed the Jamga movement, we said that Mugabe must be removed from power by any means necessary. That's why we called a violent organization. Because we say to Tsvangirai, your route of removing Mugabe via election does not work. We're going to use the streets as a point of entry. I was abducted and tortured and thrown in Mgcini maximum prison without medical attention. And when I was in prison, I got to understand that, in fact, I was abducted in broad daylight. Young people were there. They said, no, these ones are thugs. They want to liberate the country. We don't want to be part of it. A friend of mine, James Chidagwa, who was in parliament, was also abducted in broad daylight. And my other young brother, Takuzwangadzor, an MP, was abducted again in broad daylight. People said, no, we're not going to. They're politicians. So they gave us an answer. When we said, let's use another route, they said no. So as a political organization, we then said, one, we're a democratic movement. The majority of Zimbabweans have said we want a peaceful, democratic change of government. You get the point? So a few would say, no, we want a violent takeover of government. That's not a majority view. All of you don't want that route. Because if you wanted it, this government would have been gone. So you want a peaceful change of government. So that's why our movement and our organization made the resolution that our method of struggle is a peaceful transfer of government. Because of that realization, one. Two, because of our ideological standpoint that we believe that a peaceful transfer of power guarantees future stability for the country, and it does not create a sense of entitlement. The reason why Christopher Mtswanga would say, if you want the country, go to the bush, is because he has this creeping sense of entitlement that we liberated the country, and therefore you must go the same route. Why should we spill more blood when blood was spilled for the liberation of black people? You get the point? So if we take that route ourselves, we're going to become a reproduction of these same guys. Because we also develop a sense of entitlement, because I'll tell you that a comrade has died for us to be where we are.
You can't tell us what to do.
You get the point? So peaceful transfer of power is a difficult journey. But it is a sustainable route. It has been proven in scientific terms that democracies are better forms of government. Any other route is not sustainable. That's why some of us were against the invasion of Libya. It is its own problem. But violent invasions create instability. You get the sense? Democracies have proven over time that while they might not be the best forms of governing, at least they create stability and security for ordinary people. That's why we are where we are. So I know that people might say, we don't want to vote. What we must be doing now is that we cannot use voting alone as a means, but voting must remain the method. But that voting must be accompanied by people power. People power is the agents of citizens to be able to protect their vote. That obligation must not remain. And I must underline, we must not subcontract our future in the hands of political elites. That's why people today will end up calling, say, no, we're waiting for so and so. No. When we were being trained as young people, we were told that young people, we are going there to fight. Che Guevara was very instructive to what we do today. He says, I'm not a liberator. Liberators don't exist. The people liberate themselves. That has been the guiding philosophical standpoint for some of us. We don't expect anyone. When we led Jamuka, we were not being commanded by anyone. We commanded the activities and actions of that social movement. When we were leading these Gaonese graduates, we went to Queens to protest and were arrested by Mugabe. We were not waiting for anyone. We were not waiting for a signal because we were the graduates who were unemployed. You get the point? So people ought to understand that what we need to grow is citizen agents so that their vote will matter. But the problem in Zimbabwe right now, they are correct to say voting does not matter, does not count.
Yeah.
Because who go and vote, ZEC announces they are dubious. I was voted for in parliament, and within 3 weeks I was removed from that thing. I never get an opportunity to speak in parliament. When I went there, Mudenda, when I stood up, Mudenda said I must sit down. I said no, but I must give my maiden
Because
speech.
you were elected.
You know, Mudenda chucked me out of parliament. You know, and then the next week I came back, there was a recall letter by some charlatan, a vendor picked from the street who had a coup on the voice of the people. You know, so voting correctly does not matter. But it is our sustainable route to a stable future as a country. But what we ought to do is to do it one. We ought to speak about reforms. We must not allow ZEC to continue as business as usual, not as politicians, but as people. Number two, we ought to secure that vote. Why should you go and vote and go home, my brother? You wake up at 6 a.m. and then you vote at 9 a.m. Why are you going home? You have waited for 5 years for this day. Why can't you sacrifice it just for 2 days? To say, I'll vote and I'll stay here. The law says you must be 100 meters from the polling station. Why can't you go and sit there? Because if you don't, and say Ostallos must go there and secure your vote, then I will say the vote is mine. I will not say it is the people's vote. You get the point?
Yeah.
Chamisa, if he goes into government on his own, what will stop him from being like Emerson? But if he knows that he goes into the presidency at the behest of people who have secured their vote and given him the mandate, he would not become an asymmetrical reproduction of what he will replace. He would know that power resides on the people. You know, so some of us are pro the idea that citizen agents in the country. My last point is that, look, a headmaster abuses people in a primary school in Chabalala. People say, hey, won't take part. That's why citizen agents begin. It doesn't start with you talking about Emerson and Chris Mtsonga and those guys. No. It starts in your community. A councillor does their things. They start staying in Zimbabwe. You voted for the councillor, he now stays in Zimbabwe. You are quiet. You vote for the MP, he starts staying in Harare. You are quiet. You give someone CDF money, they don't deliver. You are quiet. Someone steals money from the cooperatives, citizens are quiet. You get the point? So citizen agents start at a local level for people to own their power. Once you don't accept nonsense, once you say we fear nothing at a what level, you won't fear anything at a national level.
At the national level.
You know, a pastor that steals church funds, people are silent. You know, all those things. When we're in Highlanders, I support Highlanders. When there is nonsense in that club, we tell them.
Same time.
You get the point?
Yeah.
So we don't start with the criminals in Harare.
Yeah.
We start there at Blower Club.
But Chazi, what I'm seeing is I feel like there is a gap between the revolutionaries and the people, because I feel like the mood on the ground now is like we're saying the opposition is not doing anything. The opposition leaders are posting Bible verses on a daily basis, but at the same time, you guys are saying, how can we alone tackle what's happening without the support of the people? Because I feel like, as you're mentioning, you're saying people are not showing you enough support. Like, yes, people are vocal on your social media platforms now, but you feel like at the end of the day, people are just talking. Like, we're just talking.
But it's a good starting point. People must speak out. Whether you're using a ghost account, it's important. Because you don't wake up courageous.
Yeah.
You get the point. You start somewhere. Therein lies our duty. Therein lies where we are guilty as charged. Political education.
Yep.
Long back we needed ZBC to go and speak and conscientize and educate our people. Today we don't need that. So Karl Marx says, to the extent that the masses are not educated, it is the leadership or the vanguard to be blamed. So therein lies our responsibility. We ought to begin to conscientize our people. It will not happen overnight. We have to, that's our duty now, to educate our people so that people begin to understand. The liberation you see that they are claiming today, these guys, was not an easy journey. You know, people wanted Smith to stay. Ordinary people didn't want to go to war. But revolutionaries were instructed that if people don't want to join the revolution, take the revolution to the people. You know, when we were student leaders at the University of Zimbabwe, we would call for a demonstration and then students would decide not to join. Then we wear our balaclava and go to lecture room and disrupt. The lecturer will run away. And the slave queens will run away. There will be chaos. The demo will start.
Yeah.
So we understood that we ought to take the demo to the people. Join the revolution. You want free education? Join it. Say no, with your face powder in the revolution. You see?
Very important.
Guys with the sneakers and full bushets by force in the revolution. When the police comes, they'll tear gas everyone. You get the point? Once you are tear smoked, you agitated. You then realize that no, Mugabe has unleashed Israeli-made tankers and salt water on us. Then you join us. But we have taken the revolution to you.
Yeah.
So my point is that we have to invest in educating our people. We have to make these young people, who are the major demographic group in the country, as young people. So why should we be led by fossils? Why should we be led by people who should have been retired and seeing how to run? I mean, we have been sent to school, my brother, to learn how to run a modern economy. Tina phela into yokuraniliza asicabangeli. You get the point. Asicabangeli on what has to be done.
You know what has to be done.
We know exactly what has to be done. If they want to see, if we had devolution and decentralization, and they would not have removed the people who had deployed in 2023 in local government, we wanted to show them how you can turn around these cities. But they do disrupt everything, put their stooges and chaos now. So we know precisely how to solve the water problems here. As soon as we got there, then we start going around funny things. When we get into government, there will be no time for slogans, my brother. You get the point?
Yeah.
We know what has to be done. Because our parents and philanthropists have invested in us the necessary intellectual capacities to run a modern economy. The reason why we've connected ourselves to Addis, to Pretoria, to Kigali, to Brussels, to Washington, to Moscow, to Beijing, is because our people ought to learn how to. That's what Joshua Nkomo taught us. When Nkomo was in the revolution, he was deploying people to go and prepare to govern. Our generation is connected to young people in Moscow at the present moment. It's connected to people in Beijing, connected to people in Brussels, to people in Kigali, to people in Pretoria. Because in Addis, these capitals are going to be key on our turnaround program as a generation. So we have no illusions. When we mention issues around bullet train, it looks like a far-fetched thing because of that our immediate problem is water, is dealing with hunger. But we won't solve water issues and stop there. You can't run an economy and a country successfully like Zimbabwe without a modern vision and a long-term vision. But a long-term vision will start with us providing clean water, providing electricity, stabilizing our economy, providing jobs for our people. We might not be the ones to do that, but we must leave the blueprint and the vision for those who are going to take over from us to know that the intention is not to stop anywhere where these people are seeing. The intention, when we were in independence in 1980, the Chinese Revolution was talking about things that everyone thought China was crazy because our economy was bigger than China in 1980. Our economy. Look at China now. You can't compare to anything.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
They're gone.
Everyone owes China. Oh, it's said because our friends in government said that they are friends with China, but they don't want to learn from China. Because China said, look, under Xi Jinping, if you steal $2 from our country, we'll kill you. It's that simple. You're in government. We see you driving a Lamborghini. You can't account for it. We do a lifestyle audit. We discover that you got a tender illegally. They hang you. We are saying we are friends of China. So what are we learning from the friendship? For Chinese to come and harass our workers. Because in China, they don't do that, those Chinese. They don't do that in China. They respect labor laws. You get the point? You see? Chinese people don't have politicians moving around with slogans, wearing scarves when it's what. Their leadership is solid. They know that our intention is to turn around the economy. It's simple. That's Xi Jinping's agenda. You get the point? And they didn't do that with some funny things that we see happening in Salisbury. You see? They had a solid economic agenda, 100-year plan. That this is China in the next 100 years. And they're getting there, my brother. They're building roads where no one thought there'll be anything on top of mountains. You get the point?
Yeah.
They're building things to help people to float on top of water. It's now luxury. And they're doing so by not sending people to go and do these ology degrees that we did. They're important. But they're building engineers. They're building scientists to build Chinese economy. You get the point? We're busy importing and celebrating mediocre stuff. So we ought to have a leadership with a vision. A leadership that dreams. You get the point? Because if we can't dream, then we want to solve potholes. No, my brother. We have to solve potholes, but go beyond.
Yep.
You get the point? So that's the vision that we ought to have and think about as a people.
So the opposition has been accused of being divided and ineffective. Do you think the opposition has failed to provide an alternative to the ruling party? Like, we only have the ruling party, there is no alternative. Have you guys failed to provide an alternative?
I think that I would not say we failed, because we said it in September 1999 when the movement was formed. We defined the then movement for democratic change as a vehicle for the oppressed to advance a protected struggle. We're very careful by choice of that word, protected. We knew that it's not going to be an easy journey. We knew that it's going to be a long and winding struggle. I do what I do today because I don't do it because I want to be there when we cross the line. No. If I'm there, that's good. But if I'm not there, I know that I've left a mark in the annals of history of our country in that journey. We buried Honorable Desire yesterday, a friend and a colleague of mine. He's not going to see what we've been fighting for. But he has left a mark in that journey. That is what matters for revolutionaries. It's not about getting there. It's about making sure that that journey starts and proceeds. And
you do your part as well.
So we have not gotten there. We've faced challenges. There's no doubt. They've infiltrated the democratic movement. They've assaulted the democratic movement. They've sent fly-by-nice activists. They sponsored intrusion. within the democratic alternative. But the option we are left with is to give up. But what would we have done? So you have to pick yourself up. It's not easy, my brother. You get the point? Like I said, I've got an option. I mean, when if you have a 5-year visa to a foreign country, you just leave.
Yeah, you can just
and go to and stay in South Africa or anywhere. You get the point? That's the easier option. But we went into this struggle out of a burning desire to say change the country. So the option we have to say, okay, these people have assaulted us. They've removed our MPs, our councillors. They've taken our headquarters. They've jailed our people. They've killed our people. And we are down.
yeah.
But the question is, we have to pick ourselves up because so much depends on political change in this country. I can tell you for a fact that more than 90% of the people in this country, their future is dependent on political change. Because our state is intertwined with the economy. If the state was exclusive, if we had no, if we had separated our economic affairs from the state party military conflation, we would not need political change to survive.
Yeah.
So the only option we have as Zimbabweans is to complain, is to cry, is to reflect, reconsider, and pick ourselves up and fight.
I think what I like is there is accountability.
Precisely.
You are stating that you are down. Like,
of course.
Like you are down. And it's really a situation of you guys then you'd see what you have to do inside there. Because I feel like there is so much to be done, man.
It's very correct. We have to build an alternative, like you say.
Yep.
But that alternative ought to be credible. We have to reassure and win back the hearts and minds of our people, not for our benefit as individual political leaders, but for the benefit of the democratic struggle and the democratization agenda. Even if our faces are not there, even if as individuals we're not there, that genuine and authentic agenda to democratize our struggle would need to be re-articulated, and people ought to be regained in terms of their confidence, but also to be able to re-articulate the role of citizens in that struggle, which has always been the missing link in our political conversations. Because our people ought not to expect a messiah that is going to emerge from the east or the west. There is nothing like that, my brother. You get the point?
Yep.
I can assure you, even if I'm not there as an individual, I can tell you that the struggle of the oppressed would need people to understand that there is no liberator. As a people, we ought to liberate ourselves. Once you know as an ordinary person that I have a role to play in that struggle, I can tell you, my brother, that the clock will tick very fast for us to make it towards a democratic breakthrough. But if we continue expecting some miracle
To happen.
and the Pentecostal crusade also does harm to that agenda, because it creates the fictitious attempt and understanding that there is going to be some miracle that is going to emerge from somewhere to resolve your personal economic circumstances. You have no job, my brother. A job is science. You have to go to work and earn money and live a life that you want to live. The state ought to produce a conducive environment. You are not cursed, because most people think that
Zimbabwe is cursed.
that they are cursed. That's why they're not working. Because someone will tell you, no, you are not praying enough.
But
You know, you are not blessed. People are busy insulting their forefathers. Hey, Ukuluami, a husband fighting with their wife. Hey, look, men are trying, my brother.
I try.
And a woman will tell you, no, look, Look, others are doing it.
Yeah.
Others are, what is this whole thing that they are playing these days? Begunigi Mota so. They'll be playing a trumpet, some popular guy
Even
playing a trumpet.
Lama
delivering.
Valentine's.
You get the point? Everyone wants that. We all have love inside us.
But
We can't express it through material things, which our female compatriots want. But the economy does not allow us to do so. So you can't then go and let me tell you, there's data to back up that. Recent data by UNICEF was actually confirming that Zimbabwe, most people in Zimbabwe are depressed. Because you are working at the blessing of an empty stomach and a jobless existence. You are hungry, you have no job. So to survive the 24 hours of hunger and unemployment, you take drugs. That's why these young people are taking drugs, but they're not jobs. And then someone will tell them that if you do this, you use some salt and look, money is scientific. You don't need luck. Look at people spending days in malls and what, thinking that in Abambama pizza. And you get the addiction. They make millions, those guys. I'm against those capitalist entities. But they want to tell our people that there's luck. You must go to work for 24 days or 21 days in a month, whatever is regulated. Earn your money, have a proper aggregate demand, and buy your clothes. It's that simple.
It's crazy how there are states that prove that majority of the people living in Zimbabwe are now depressed. But the same states, recently Forbes is saying that Zimbabwe is one of the top countries to visit, like the best countries to visit. Yet the people that are living in Zimbabwe are said to be depressed.
Look, the Zimbabwe is a tourist destination because one of issues of peace, and then we have one of the wonders of the world. We have the big five, So those with money would want to come to Zimbabwe. And the reason why we don't have domestic tourism now, I know for a fact that you, my brother, you have not visited some of the beautiful places in the country.
Yep.
That is a sign of an abnormal country. At your age, by now, your bucket list must be Paris. Your bucket list must be Egypt. Your bucket list must be Mount Kilimanjaro.
Even Cape Town, yeah.
It must be the Table Mountain. It took a friend of mine out of the country after 30 years of existence in the African continent to help me visit the Table Mountain. Thanks to Robert Mugabe. So, I've never been to some of the beautiful places in the country. You get the point? So, domestic tourism cannot happen. We told this to Barbara, that my sister, you can hire artists to sing about how will you go to Victoria Falls? Look at the portals. You have no money. The train almost killed the people in Victoria Falls. You get the point? So, we have to build our country so that our people live better. And they're able to visit, they're able to do all those kind of things. Domestic violence is a product of poverty. My brother, there can't be noise where there is money. People won't fight. You get the point? You won't have to be humiliated, amongst other gentlemen. Tomorrow we have a Highlanders match.
This is Dynamos,
we are playing against Dynamos. You have to worry where we get the money to buy a ticket. You get the point. So, but that's the entertainment that you need. So we have to build our country. You have to fix the politics in the country. Even those in power, we won't even care about them. In other countries, my brother, they can't even stay. The only problem is that politicians must be changed like diapers. But if you don't, again, it's a problem. But even if you want to stay, stabilize the economy, build hospitals. We're not asking so much as a people. I know for a fact that Zimbabweans are not asking so much from the political establishment in the country. They're not they just want stability. They just want certainty. They just want a future for their children.
This is a really interesting conversation. I feel like for some time, siyabe sikubalekela, but as you are speaking right now, you really see that there is a much bigger problem. Something needs to really happen. But you've had the privilege to work with Tsvangirai. You are also now working with Nelson Chamisa. Tell us about just the experience of working with Tsvangirai. What have you learned from him? And what's the mood at the moment around Nelson Chamisa? What's happening? Because from Mgcini, who is not deep into politics, what I'm seeing is a Matala that's always placing us with Bible verses on a weekly basis. But like, how was your experience with working Tsvangirai, and how is it now with Chamisa?
Let me start by this issue of Bible verses. I think that I used to, when I was the deputy spokesperson of the party working with Fadzai, would argue with the office of the president to say, look, this is what we think from a communication point of view should be the message and stuff like that. Which was a very important thing, but they would give us the opportunity to interact with the presidency and all those things and to be able to learn. And one of the things I discovered, I mean, when people raise these complaints, I went to check President Chamisa's Twitter and say, look, say on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, he posts something about the economy. You realize that it reaches maybe 90,000 people, 100,000 people. No one really will interface with it. They wait for him for a Saturday to exercise his freedom of conscience, which all of us do. I go to church on Sunday. I post my verses on Sunday. But Monday to Friday, I'm at work. I talk about the issues at my work and school and my party and so forth. You know, generally people don't want to interact with political content. That's why we have to raise the bar of consciousness in the country. Because when Chamisa raises questions around what has to be done, very few people will interact with it. And they will not even acknowledge it. But they wait for him to post on Saturday. They say, hey, Bana, you have started. You know? So I don't think it's a fair thing. I don't think it's a fair judgment on him. And I don't think that because his religious persuasions and standpoint are not organizational police.
That's personal.
Yeah, they don't represent the views that he speaks about every day, but they represent his views because he is him. When I was deputy spokesman, we had access, our technocrats had access to the party accounts. Not even a single day President Chamisa would say, no, you guys must post a verse and stuff like that. Because in that way, I would have said there's a problem. He would retweet our content. A content that would have approved to say this is going to be our message for the year, for the month, and stuff like that. You know, the same right way someone will post about their spiritual father, their spiritual medium, and so forth, is the same right that he must have and enjoy. You get, of course, with him it must be limited because he also holds a public office. You know, but there could be a danger when he abrogates his political obligation for that, but he has not, because he talks about the politics in the country. He talks about the challenges that we face as a people, and he has refused again to be compromised. The regime came to us. You know, they said to him, "We're going to make you leader of the opposition. We'll give you blue lights. We'll give you leader of opposition. We give you Nando's and strawberry dessert." He refused. You know. And he stood on principle, you know. So he's having. I never worked with President Tsvangirai for a longer time because I was young. He came to us when we were young student leaders and gave us a guy called Upbringing Childhood when we were young, and said, work with these young boys. So you would take us to President Tsvangirai there and there to interface with him and so forth. And he would interface with us as student leaders. And what you could tell, which is similar, and having worked with both these guys, you see that you can't lead a people without a deep sense of humility. Leadership requires so much humility, my brother. You won't do it if you are not prepared to be insulted by people, to be insulted by your own colleagues, to be undermined by people who might be intelligent than you. Because usually, a person who leads is not the most intelligent and the sharpest tool in the shelf. So, sharper people around you might make you feel,
Yes, of a
but
person, yeah.
leaders that I've worked with, they've seen the ability to work with such people and still advance the struggle. Mugabe would say Morgan is uneducated, is down, but Morgan continued with the fight. You face a lot of accusation. You need to have a deep sense of humility. At times people raise allegations about you. Every time allegations are raised, even about me as an individual, I've learned from these great leaders that, look, it's not every time you have to respond, because you are carrying the weight of the institution on you. So you must not show a posture of a weak organization that is fragile. So a colleague that you have, can go out and say, hey, I've done this and that. So when you want to, because you are human, your emotions, you want to, no. Then the organization say, no, you can't say this, because you are carrying the weight of the institution and the organization. So you have to carry so much humility. You also have to lead with grace. Otherwise, if you don't have that, you end up arresting people who are differing with you. So you have to develop internal shock absorbers. For people to insult you, you laugh and you move on.
Do you think Zimbabwe will ever reach a point where you are sitting there with your opposition regalia, and I'm sitting with my, maybe let's say I have another party, and we coexist? Like right now, I feel like there's that thing of, if I come here rocking a ZANU-PF t-shirt, my brother, the internet is going to have me the whole day. And at the same time, if I come here wearing opposition regalia, I'm in some form of threat. I cannot go around just wearing a opposition t-shirt outside. Do you think we'll ever reach a point where it's normal for you to like support a political party based on delivery? And my other question is, do you guys outside politics, do you guys interact as like maybe friends? Do you have friends on the opposition party, or is a thing of, because on the public eye, you see you guys as enemies, but is their life outside that spectrum of politics?
Look, I think that at the principal level, we have to reach and we'll reach, and all of us have a role to play in that. The reason why some of us are anti-politics of slogans is that they replace ideas. That's why in our organization we don't talk about fancy, slogans that demean people, that incite people to kill each other and stuff like that. In the MDC, we used to have a slogan that said, Yezokopa. When we formed the CCC, we removed that slogan. Because it incites people. It sends hate. We think that our politics must be a competition of ideas, not the color of your skin, your ethnicity, and so forth. You ought to have that freedom to wear your party regalia and wear mine. I put our ideas, and people choose those with better ideas. It must be a competition of ideas and better policies to govern. And that's what we must fight for. And that is what we must contribute to. Because we have a role to play as an alternative to that culture. But it's a culture issue. That's why I can't insult ZANU-PF people. I can challenge them. I can be robust on them. I can be candid. But I can't use vulgar. Because it must be a competition of ideas. In as much as some of them might not want that, that is, we have to contribute to that culture slowly but surely. And our country, we have to, and I know for a fact that it will get there. Personally, I've got colleagues that are in ZANU-PF. But we naturally, because they know my belonging, we draw the line. Because of fear of being compromised, because of fear of intrusion. So we relate, we talk about, because I don't think that within the democratic movement, no one doesn't have relatives in ZANU-PF. We are related. Because we're Zimbabweans. We might not know, but I can tell you for a fact that if I do a fact-finding mission, I'll discover that some of the people who might have tortured me in 2016 are my relatives. So at times you meet in funerals. Yo,
How?
me and Joseph Chuma, the guy who came in by the back door in my constituency in Pelanda, we go to the same church. His father was my mentor. He was the overseer of our church. I respected the man.
Yep.
You know? But so you would try and come and say, hey, you and me. I said, no, Chief. We're in a campaign. Don't come with those funny things. You get the point?
Yeah.
So my principles guide me now when we have conversations. It's a family program. I've got relatives probably who are in the police. You know, we meet in a family program, they go. You know, I don't seek to recruit them. I don't seek them to tell me what they get infused in Chitepo when they force them to go there.
Yeah.
So we just have to maintain the line, but also show the tolerance. You get the point? We meet with ZANU-PF people in parliament. They force you to be in the same bus. I went with those guys. I was with them. I was shocked there. When I went to parliament, then I was with Honorable Chimba and Honorable Wende and others. And I was laughing with ZANU-PF people. I mean, I was new in this. Yo, what are these guys doing, you know?
Yeah.
I honestly, and sorry to them if it says something about them, but they were both MPs and they were in the 9th parliament. And I just joined the 10th parliament and I'm there, I'm silent. ZANU-PF, this other funny guy from Rushinga, you know, he's there. You know, the guy knows nothing about parliament agenda, legislation. He just talks about beer and so forth. I forget his name, but he's one of the emptiest members of parliament that Zimbabwe has ever had since 1980. The guy is empty and he's carefree and he's indifferent about the challenges in the country. He's from Rushinga, Theraba. So this guy is in the bus and he wants to hug our MPs. And I was shocked.
Wait, this is what happens.
He got angry. Was it no, you guys, you know, we don't meet. We stay in that side of the parliament, they stay that side. You know? So I don't know what would have happened if I'd remained in parliament. But I know that members of parliament go in the same bus, you know. But you can be in the same bus, hold political, ideological differences, but still work in parliament. You get the point?
Yeah.
Tolerance does not mean co-option. The problem with colleagues in ZANU, we say, no, you guys, you must come and join us in Pollard so that we can be there with the Linda and that Kisnod Mukwashi guy. They got 3 votes. They want us to go in Madugu so that we go and sing there in their choir. We said, no, we can still coexist and build our country together, but without us joining your choir.
Yeah.
Say, no, you must, Ostallos, you are not patriotic. You don't want to wear a scarf. This is your regalia. You get, it's not in this, because they've conflated the national emblem with the party. Because once you wear it in a party program, it ceases to be a national fabric.
Yeah.
You get the point? Say, no, you must go to wherever we go. You must go there and say our country is good. Look, fix the country. Then I'll go to New York and tell them that, no, we have the best country. Because we love our country. But we are ashamed of the people governing us. But it doesn't mean that we don't love our country. It doesn't mean that we're not patriotic. We can still coexist. We must sit in the same parliament, sit in the same, chambers in council with different political parties. Change the lives of our people and hold ideological difference. Because our differences are ideological.
Yeah. So I've heard you mention that you are a huge fan of the Highlanders Football Club. Sonkila, I feel like now Zala Kopla, Villa Highlanders automatic. Of course, bakhona a few that would support maybe that other team, but at first when this thing of gifting people with cars and money is happening, the mood around like the city was saying, why are they wasting money? Why is it that they are gifting these people? Yeah, they are wasting. But now we're in a situation where our club was in debt, and one of the people who then came out and cleared the debt is Omondu, who is being viewed as Omondu that's wasting government funds. Then, like, what's the mood now around? We've been complaining, but the guy has saved the team now.
Look, I support Highlanders, and I make sure that we do all we can to support our team as individuals within the team and brand our party well. But I've always made sure that as an individual, I don't conflict my political views with that of the team that I support. So, because the decision to accept the donation and all these things was made by the leadership of the team, we raised our views about that as members and others, and the decision was made. And that's why I would never go publicly and say anything about the decision made by the team. Whatever decision was made by the team in the wisdom of the leadership then, and fans expressed their views on that. And I'm not the only fan. We have millions of people that support the team of the nation. And people would take me and say, no, say something. I say, no, but look, I'm a fan of the team, and a decision, there are processes to make a decision by the team. When our movement takes a decision, I abide by it at a party level. Even if I might hold different views. If I see that I might not belong because of that, I can deassociate. So people express themselves around the decision taken by the executive on that fund. And the executive, I think, is aware of that. The team is ours. Highlanders is a community team.
Yep.
Who die Highlanders. If the team is broke, when the team travels, the interventions that we make as the fans to say, no, team must sleep there. We make contributions and stuff like that. Because it's our team. We own it, and we won't abandon it. If we can abandon the democratic struggle, there's no way we can abandon Highlanders. It will remain our team. If there are problems with it, we raise them internally. We have them fixed. If we think that the executive makes a funny decision, we know we meet them at the AGM, you know. But once the executive there, we support it. We raise our concerns. The good thing about Highlanders is that they also give us an ear as fans, as chapter members, to say, this is what we want to do, what is your view, and all those things. So we support our team because of everything that has been taken away from us. Highlanders is something that we hold dearly and we hold very preciously. And it must not be contaminated by, but there are people within our organization that have different political orientation. But when we're in Highlanders, we enjoy our game and support our team. Because most of us, we support it passionately. Like you say, Sizalo, I mean, I was born in Pilo. So you are born kilometers away
from the stadium.
So you naturally, before I went to church, I went via Papa Fields. Before I was baptized there, I was there. So it's our team. We support it. It will face challenges, like I will tell you, like any other institution. But it will remain our team. It will pick ourselves. We at least won't be relegated. Our team is safe to fight.
I feel like right now, if we beat Dynamos, what's this other team? Scotland, we are good.
Yes, Scotland is a problem.
It's a problem.
It's a problem. But we'll sing about it in the stadium. And philosophize and characterize Scotland as Highlanders fans.
So, my brother, I'm sure there are a lot of people that are listening to this conversation right now that I think maybe are curious with you outside the politics, outside being revolutionary. Like, what do you do? Like, do you listen to music? Like, you see this type of conversation that we're having right now. When you're chatting with your friends, do politicians use the same language? Or now you figure at a point you're like, offer my chance. How many? Which really how far great? Into or vele into le uhambala everywhere.
Look, that's a very important question. Let me start with my professional life.
Okay.
I don't do politics every day.
Yep.
So when I finished school at the UZ, I joined the unemployed class like everyone else. But I'd been sent to school by Joshua Ngomo Scholarship, owned by Strive Masiwa. So when I finished school, unemployed, registered for my master's, I joined Econet to work for High Life Foundation. Then when I left Econet, I joined Civic Society as the programs manager of Zimbabwe National Students Union. That's where I worked for the greater part of my professional life. And then when I left, in between, I worked for the Teachers Union and did some work for different institutions. I founded Youth Institution for Social and Economic Rights, did work with it. And then when I left, I went to the Youth Assembly of the party. Naturally, because of that, I then now couldn't go and work in a formal institution. Then I started doing mostly consultancy work, training for young leaders and so forth. I started training as a trainer. I started my work here in Bulawayo. So I was training students in, I think I trained prefects in Gifford, Milton, and a lot of high schools here. Because as an activist, you ought to earn a living.
Yeah.
And you won't earn a living from the struggle. But some of the work that we do, because we also do some work for institutions that will not want to be exposed from the regime. So at times you suffer these pressures. People know, how do you earn a living?
Yeah.
I don't sleep. I'm doing my PhD now, and I'm doing work now. I'm in a contract with the Obama Foundation. It's not easy work because of different times. So you have to wake up, you have to work. And then some ZANU-PF goes to say, but Chief, how do you earn a living? I work.
Yeah.
I started getting a salary from Econet. You get the point? I would withdraw money from the ATM when I was working.
Yeah.
I started earning a salary at that age. When I went to work for Zimbabwe National Students Union, I was paid by an NGO, which was granting the institution. So I do a lot of work. I'm here today. Last week I was doing work with the Tax Justice Network, doing some work for some of the people they'd invited for the Tax Justice Conference. You won't do that work for free. Next week I'll be doing some work with Afro Tellers for their big event in Johannesburg.
Yeah.
You do consultants, you give them a bill. You get the point.
So
But now,
change or see will outside.
now because of that, you can't do a consultants for an institution and put a receipt there. But I can be subjected to a lifestyle audit, say by ZIMRA or Anti-Corruption Commission, say, but you have earned this and how do you earn it? But you can't volunteer that information to SANPF costs. You get the point?
Yeah.
But we're oriented to understand that you ought to have a professional life. That's one. Number two, you ought to develop as a political, now because I'm a politician now. The most important thing as a political leader, you ought to, once you go there, because you know that I won't go back to Econet and look for a job there. But I must develop the sufficient network to be able to make sure that if old people in my constituency say we want your help, I must have the necessary networks to to be able to finance. Was I do programs almost every week. I had a program today with young women. They said to me, we want you to help us raise money to buy sanitary pads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I said, it's fine, we'll organize that. So you have to have, as a politician, your network must be your net worth. You see, I've got contacts of multimillionaires in my phone. People that I can call. So it's not possible for me to then wake up without bread in my house. Because I have people that I can contact and say, my sister, my brother, I've got these challenges, and they'll help me. But these are networks I've developed over the years. You get the point? So that's at my professional life level, and I thought I would just clear that in terms of how I survive.
Yeah.
You know, a young brother of mine, Roderick, were together in high school in Glock, and I mentored him as young academics. He called me last week and said, my brother, he grew up here, he's in the UK now. He said, Chief, what size? You see, I'm wearing an Adidas.
Yeah.
He bought me 5 pairs from London. I said, my brother, I don't want you to
go looking.
Let's check there, you know. I think it's seen my shoe, I don't know. And then he sent me a pair of shoes. He's my brother. So that goodwill that is born out of your integrity also keeps you going as a politician.
Yeah.
But you ought to work. I don't believe that you must wake up every day on Monday to Friday. If I'm not doing a political program, I'm writing documents, I'm submitting reports, I'm doing consultants. And it's not easy because you have to write to people, say, I'm sorry and so, I'm a PhD candidate, I'm willing to do this paper for you. Then they give you the quotation, you know, that kind of a thing. You have to hunt for these jobs. You have to work overnight and stuff like that. So that's on my professional life.
Yeah.
At personal level, I live like an ordinary person. I get to combis, you know, because I think that you must not lose the humanity as a revolutionary.
Yeah.
You know, so I stay in the ghetto. I grew up in Chabalala. I stay in Chabalala. I was elected to be an MP there. So every now and then I go in my shops, talk to people, because I don't have to think about what these people's challenges are. I must know them. So if there's I don't have solar in my house. So there was no Zesa from morning up to the time we left here. We left at 1:30. That's when electricity came. By the time I go back home, there will be no electricity in the ghetto.
Crazy.
We have not had water for 3 weeks now in Chabala. So when people are insulting Coldad, I also sub-tweet there. We voted for you. You get the point?
Yeah.
Because I faced the same challenges.
Yeah.
You know? So, and that's what I believe. That even if I go where I want to go, I must always come back to my roots and live an ordinary life. Why should you live like an extraordinary human being? We don't want this life. I think it's a prison.
Yeah.
That's why I pity people who want to be presidents, because I think that's a prison. Because you have no life, you're walking around with security guards. You can't be free. So you can't go and do whatever you want to do. But there are always people. And remember, close protection reports to the director of security. So they report to someone else, I know the president went there, stuff like that. You know. So I work with President Chamisa, and I understand the time you run away from those guys, and they will find him in the stadium there. You know. So that's why even if I go to my team, I don't stay in the VIP section. Because that chasm creates a sense of impunity. Because if you go to VIP, Lapane BF, there's a glass. It gives you the force that I'm safe from the people.
Does the camera and
it creates this class thing.
Yeah.
I believe in a classless society. You can work hard, have your money, and still live amongst people. You get the point? So that's what I believe in. I don't believe that we must create this class society. I don't have to change friends. My friends who were my friends when we were struggling
are still your friends now.
When we were guards, because we would go overnight guards, and I was working in it. My father owned Iska. So that's where I worked when I was in high school. My friends, they say Skala, are still my friends now. You know, because you don't have to change it now. You know, you can still buy your house in suburbs or anywhere and still be with your friends. You know, that's what I believe in, because it gives you this human ability. You would not, and I've not stolen from the people, so I've no fear, you know. So I live amongst people who speak the language of the people, though obviously now it's guarded. There are things I can no longer say now because I'm in the party.
Yeah.
So I limit.
Yeah.
When I posted during our Highlanders game that we fear Fogo, the state said I incited people to revolt
Kanjani,
during
man.
that game. So now I have to regulate because I thought it's just my statement for our team. And so now my words, my programs is now regulated by the organization.
Yeah, I
you
feel
know.
like it comes with the job.
Yeah, so you have to accept that. So you lose some privileges, you know, but you don't lose your humanity.
My brother, thank you very much for coming. This has been a really, really informative and interesting conversation. We really appreciate you giving us the opportunity to come and talk to you. In closing, how should history remember Ostallos Siziba?
I don't know how history remember us, but every day we strive to leave a mark in the annals of the history of our country. We don't know whether we'll get to the victory line alive or not. We don't know, but we know that we've contributed towards that journey. And history will absolve us. We have no doubt about that. And to us, that is life. That is life to a revolutionary. It is about the leaders. And to me, my smallest contribution to my community in Chabalala becomes the starting point of my age, and it gives me comfort that I do my best, I've done my best to make our people live a life better than the dogs of the rich. And if history remembers that, for me, that will give me satisfaction when I go yonder. Thank you.
Thank you very much, brother.
Eti po 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 po.
And they tipping me off. I know you from the inside out. We do some real talking at my mama's house. We finna get something for $1. We might just head home in a Honda. But are you ready? I am ready.